Well, hello and welcome. You're watching Cricket Carnival T20. I'm with Pratap Singh. This, of course, is the show that gets you the best and the latest from the IPL 2017, which is entering its last lap now. And joining us on the show today is our special guest, Shishir Hatangadi, former Ranji Cricket and Mumbai captain. Welcome to the show, Shishir. It's truly the last lap, and we will, of course, be talking about how Pune have stormed in to the playoffs. Yes, what a win it was, and that, of course, is our first big talking point on the show today. High-flying Pune crushing Punjab by 9 wickets to seal a playoff berth after finishing second in the IPL league table. Yes, remember, before the game, they actually didn't know whether they would even qualify, and they ended up runners-up to Mumbai Indians. Well, Pune, of course, ending up on second place behind Mumbai, as I said, after winning that all-important knockout clash against Punjab at home. Pune dismantling Punjab for a paltry 73 in just 15.5 overs before chasing their target down very comfortably. Pacers Shardul, Thakur and Jaydev Unadkat starred for Pune as the hosts kept getting wickets to keep Punjab clearly out of the race. Smith's side will face rivals Mumbai now and qualify number 1 and will aim to complete the treble over Mumbai this season. But first on the match today, domination, complete domination, entering that last lap, as I said, in absolute style, Shishir.
Absolutely. Is it wrong if I say that the Kings played like paupers today?
Absolutely.
They did, and you know, they had promised so much, and there was a threat actually for the Pune team. There was a chance they wouldn't have qualified, but you know, the game seemed to be over in the 5 overs or the power play, 6 overs, and the game was almost done. You know, they lost early wickets, and you know, in a game like this, and when you're playing away from home, this is Pune's fortress in a sense, and to be chasing a total as paltry as what the Kings put up, obviously wasn't good enough, and rightfully I think Pune have managed to take that second place, and they play the local derby now.
Indeed. And you know, the fact is, you know, the Pune side has always relied on its bowlers. Its bowlers have always, you know, come whenever needed, and they've shone, you know, be it Shardul Thakur, be it Unadkat, who struck early, really setting the pace and momentum for the Pune side. You know, as I said, 15.5 overs. The Kings were, as you said, reduced to paupers today. Yeah,
and the positive coming out of Pune is that even though Stokes goes away for the playoffs, what you have is a confident Unadkat. He's been in the oblivion, he's not been recognized after his debut. But suddenly there's been the rebirth of Jaydev Unadkat as a bowler. And that, I think, is today he bowled well, he fielded well, and he was also responsible for a run out. So he ticked all the boxes for me, and you know, that will give the captain a lot of confidence to see a local, a domestic Indian player contribute. Shardul again 3 wickets, a local domestic or domestic uncapped player contributing. So it makes sense for them now to go with a combination and backing these youngsters who have been sort of performing for them. Because once they do that, you know, generally you'll find that the international players tick themselves off, you know, they balance it out. It's the local, the domestic guys and the domestic players who can make all the difference.
Indeed. And you know, as a captain now, Steve Smith really shining for the Pune team. The fact is, he took over at a time when there was a bit of controversy, the bad blood between Australia and India in the previous series. There was also a controversial decision of MN, but he's really, you know, held his own, Steve Smith, not let this affect him at all. You know, been a leader, you know, taking firm decisions when needed, leaving out members of his squad. Permutations, combinations were tried, but at the end of the day, he's managed to get his team into the playoffs at number 2 position.
Fantastic job. And you know, I think it wouldn't have been fantastic if there wasn't support from the players. I had a brief chat yesterday with Mahendra Singh Dhoni on this, and he says that, you know, in India you have to deal with individuals with emotion. If emotion is a part of professionalism, this is what it is. You have to deal with individuals because each one has his own way of reacting. And I think Stephen Smith would have got the support of some of the seniors there to congregate the players, to ensure that, you know, they played as a team. And what you have is number 2, which is fantastic. And probably for the last time, they may not play in the IPL again.
Okay, one more question then, since you mentioned that you had that brief conversation with MS Dhoni. Confident? Was he confident that they would make the playoffs? It was literally a do-or-die moment, but did he expect this?
No, I think he's a confident human being, you know, and very positive. That helps. That helps because you're able to weather the storm when things aren't going your way, and you're looking at things positively. And I think one thing about Dhoni being there in the team, he's able to get the domestic players together, because that is very important. You need a mouthpiece a communicator to the domestic players.
And they all look up to him.
Absolutely.
There's
He's
no
an
one better
iconic
than
figure.
MSD in
They
the
look
dressing
up to
room.
him.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I've seen that with a lot of franchises. They empower the domestic players to report to one of the senior players.
Okay. Before we go and talk about the qualifiers, quick question on Punjab. A very erratic side this IPL. Started out with a bang. Unfortunately faltered in the middle. Thought they could perhaps pull this off with their recent form, but just not meant to be.
Just embodies the way the captain is. You know, when he's good, he's very, very good. And when he's bad, you know, he can disappoint. So it's the way the captain plays. And you prepare to back him in a T20 because he can win you games. Unfortunately, today was a day they couldn't do it. And when you can't do it, you can be embarrassing. You know, today in the first 6 overs, I can just imagine how the owners must have gone there thinking.
You could see, I mean, Preeti Zinta was, you know, her eyes were popping out in disbelief. The other owners were, you know, burying their heads in their hands. So, yeah.
I think it's disappointing because you go down fighting in a good game. I don't think owners feel too bad about it. You know, of course, they want their team to win.
Yeah.
But to sort of go down like paupers, and when your name is Kings XI, it's disappointing not only for the players but also for the owners.
Indeed. Once again, you know, Punjab unfortunately faltering at these hurdles, which is what matters, you know, and they've done that in previous IPLs as well. Okay, now moving on to the last lap of the tournament, as I said. So the stage set now for the qualifier and the eliminator. The next match will be Mumbai Indians versus Pune, and that is scheduled for the 16th of May, but it will be on home turf of Mumbai. Yes, the match takes place at Wankhede. And you have the second match, which of course is the eliminator, which is between Hyderabad and Kolkata, taking place at a neutral ground of Bengaluru. That will be played on the 17th of May. So quick question on Mumbai versus Pune first. Pune, of course, hoping for a treble. Mumbai has home advantage. Very interesting match.
Very interesting because both teams will be buoyant. Both teams will be confident. Steve Smith will tell his boys, boss, we've won them twice this year. Guys, we've got to beat them the third time. Mumbai will say, this is our bastion, this is our home, this is our fortress. We can't lose here. So I think it evens out the psychological thinking behind this crucial game. And Mumbai will be a little bit of an advantage, because they have 2 bites at the cherry.
Yeah.
So they'll go in thinking that, you know, we have to win this, but if we don't, if they come to losing it, I think they'll know that they have one more game. That's an advantage for them. But I'll tell you what, this Pune team can be dangerous.
Indeed, it can be dangerous, of course, as it proved today. On their day, they can reduce the Kings to paupers. Can they break Mumbai Indians' party on home ground? Well, that, of course, will be the big question, only answered on the 16th. Last quick point before we move on to our next talking point on the show, between Hyderabad and KKR. Now, these are 2 teams who also will be very unhappy that they were pushed, you know, to 3rd and 4th place. So how do you look at that match? And it's taking place on
very important is the pitch at the Chinnaswamy Stadium.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't played the way it has played in the last few years. It's been relayed. It's become a slow wicket. I expect it to be a battle of attrition. And it all depends on Narayan, how he bowls, how Rashid Khan bowls, because this is going to be the crucial trump cards in each team. And that to me is very important. So the one who plays smart in this game,
and who wins the toss as well, probably.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's no question of this. This Chinnaswamy wicket, the pitch isn't the same as it used to be. And one of the reasons for RCB doing badly this year is that they've got world-class batsmen and they don't have a pitch to support them.
Absolutely. Okay, time now to move to the next big talking point in the show today, which comes in from last night's game, which saw Mumbai's bench strength being exhibited. Yes, their bench strength coming to full effect as they beat Kolkata at Eden Gardens to gain more confidence ahead of that crucial playoff, which we spoke about earlier. Remember, they will be playing Pune, and Mumbai's second string side continued last night with the same intensity to highlight a very powerful unit that they've proved to be and the threat that they possess to defeat any other team. Remember, Mumbai also on their good day have proved to be a very dominating side. They've reduced a lot of teams to absolute shambles. I mean, who can forget Delhi? I'm a Delhi supporter. I don't want to remember that match which took place at Ferozeshah Kotla, in fact. Well, last night, Abati Raidu and Saurabh Tiwari got a look in apart from several others, both batsmen making their red chance count. The same goes for a new look Mumbai bowling as they restricted the host to pick crucial wickets. Mumbai's complete unit are a real threat, certainly, as the IPL 10 intensifies, as I said, and enters its last lap. We have a soundbite before we open it up for Shish's comments.
प्रॉपर सेकेंड टीम ही खेले, लेकिन बहुत ही अच्छा बेंच स्ट्रेंथ है हम लोग का, और उसका रीज़न ये है कि हम लोग का प्रिपरेशन बहुत अच्छा हुआ है थ्रू आउट पूरा IPL में जब हम लोग का कैंप लगा। तो तो ये अच्छा चीज़ है, हम लोग को जितने भी प्लेयर है जो नहीं खेलते हैं उनसे अच्छे से बात मतलब इसका क्या है, कैसे आपको डेवलप करना अपना क्रिकेट, तो उनके ऊपर फोकस किया जाता है। तो ये बहुत अच्छा मैनेजमेंट के थ्रू किया जाता है प्लेयर के साथ कि आपको कभी भी ऐसा फील नहीं होता कि आप टीम के साथ नहीं हैं। तो एक वो सबसे बड़ा प्लस पॉइंट है, इवन जितने भी हमको लगता है जितने भी प्लेयर जो बहुत दिन के बाद खेले उसके लिए।
Okay, so they are table toppers, and that's why they decided to experiment. But it was a successful experiment at the end of the day.
And sensible. I think it's a very pragmatic decision to get the guys who are sitting on the bench to come and play. It's frustrating 46 days, you know, of an event when you don't get to play. You know, you can practice as much, you can train as much. The circle of life
And
coming
give as
back,
much
you know. Saurav Tiwari
fielders.
played for Mumbai Indians in the first IPL 10 years ago. Then he was traded off, and now he comes back and makes an impression. A good problem for selectors in the Mumbai Indians think tank to have, because when you have your bench strength performing and ensuring you win a game, it tells you that they're all up for it. And on a morning of game, in case one of the key players gets unfit or says, you know, I've got a hamstring or whatever, you know you have bench strength to go out there and deliver as well, which is psychologically, you know, in the dressing room, a great advantage for Mumbai Indians.
And he certainly proved, you know, Shishir, just taking off from the opening point, that he may have lost his long locks Tiwari, but he's not lost his batting prowess from that
absolutely.
first
And
day.
even Ambati Raidu, you see, strangely in cricket, your success has to coincide with somebody's failure. He's been a key player in this team for years now, but this year he just didn't get an opportunity. He gets one, it delivers. Again, as I reiterate, it's a great problem for the selectors, and it just goes to tell you that in this format, you can't write off anybody, and Mumbai has shown that they've given opportunities to everybody. I think they've ticked the right boxes and ready for the big game. But you know, a big game is one that you make a mistake and you're out.
Exactly. But you know, psychologically also not very good for KKR going into the eliminator with a loss, that too against a top-ranked team for Mumbai. Certainly something they didn't want, knowing that it was on the top side of Mumbai, the high-build players playing against them.
Yeah, and to regroup very quickly is the key here, because you know they don't have a second chance now. You know, they've got to go to RC, to Chinnaswamy and win. If they don't win, you know, all the hard work over the last month and more is just gone down the drain. So what they need to do is focus on their strengths. I think most people know that, most teams know that. Don't worry about the opposition. But importantly, they've got to finish games if they're chasing. I feel somewhere KKR is struggling with a finisher. They've got good starters, they've got Lin, but somewhere down the line, in the 18th to 20th over, they don't have the Hardik Pandyas and the Krunal Pandyas or Pollards to be able to, you know, just finish the game. And that is where I think they're hurting.
Okay, so they lack a clear finisher, and that could cost them in the game against Hyderabad as well. But speaking about Mumbai and Rohit Sharma, now surely this is a great morale booster for him, heading into the Champions Trophy as well after this. The wins that Mumbai Indians have been, of course, racking up, and you know the decisions also he's been taking in concurrence with the team management. He was coming back from injuries. He, you know, has literally started from the first day onwards. They lost their first match, but after that they were able to turn things around. Mumbai have always been known as late starters. They proved things wrong this time.
Absolutely. And this has been their change. You know, every time, and they've had a settled opening pair. In the past few years, you've seen they keep changing, chopping, you know, trying out new combinations. This time, I think Rohit's been very emphatic with the way he's picked his team. And of course, his form has been so crucial, because once you have a captain in form, the body language of the whole side changes. There's a feeling of confidence, and you can command that authority as a leader, because you know you're performing. And this is where I think Mumbai's done everything correctly this year. And main thing is they've stuck to a team. They haven't made too many changes. Yesterday's was just an aberration, but otherwise they've stuck to their opening partners. It's been Parthiv Patel and Parthiv Patel. They know they can use him there, and they've used them beautifully. And their bowling, of course, and fielding has been outstanding. So, I mean, if I had to give marks to a team to have won the IPL before the playoffs, it would have been Mumbai.
There were many who questioned, if we go back, you know, to the first game, the exclusion of Malinga and Bhaji right at the start. After that, though, there weren't any surprising changes.
Not at all, not at all. And we have to accept that Malinga has been off the pump, you know, in this tournament. He hasn't been in his form. But it's been 10 years. So 10 years is a long time, you know, for somebody, any cricketer to sort of do the yards. So, yes, but I'll tell you, come the big game, you'll find Bhaji and Malinga contributing more, because they've got the big match experience. You know, they know how to get up on a morning of a big game and go out there and be confident. You know, they have nerves, they have butterflies, but they're used to that pressure. And when it comes to a do-or-die situation, I'd back Malinga and Harbhajan Singh.
Absolutely, to perform in that game or perish, as they say. But remember, Mumbai still has 2 chances. Now, speaking about that qualifier once again, very quickly, Shishir, the fact is, if you look at the head-to-head though, Pune, it's advantage Pune. You know, we have spoken about the home advantage being for Mumbai, and you've listed out all their, main strengths, and of course listed out possible weakness as well. But what about Pune? The fact is, head-to-head, they're stronger, and they're also bouncing back from a spectacular win today.
Somebody will have to put their hand up for Pune.
Yeah.
They've won twice, but they're without Stokes. Stokes is flying back tonight.
So that'll really cost them.
I mean, when
psychologically,
14.5 crore player,
Yeah.
obviously you're expecting him to win you games, and he's done well for them. You know, he's sort of pepped them up. He's put them on a different pedestal with his contributions in the field, with the ball, and also the bat. Now he's out. Now, who can fill in for that is very crucial. I mean, at the end of the day, you may find a local player or a domestic player contributing, but can he make the impact that Stokes would have made on his day?
Especially if they're chasing, it can be psychologically a big barrier.
Absolutely. I mean,
let's not on the board.
There is a method in the madness of paying these players big money.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a tic-tac-toe round I go situation. So they're going to miss him. But somebody will have to put their hand up and contribute and, make sure that he can substitute Stokes' performance. And that is so crucial in big games.
Indeed. And but remember, just one weakness is needed to be exploited, and it can, turn the tide in your favor. So that's something that, of course, Mumbai will hope will be advantage for them. We're going to take a short break on that point. Remember, there's still one match to go. I know we've spoken so much about the qualifiers that it feels already we're in the last lap. But as I said, we're just entering it. There's one more game to go. What's that game? We'll have lots more on that when we return. Welcome back from the break. You're watching Cricket Carnival on NewsX, and it's time now to talk about the last league game, which is Delhi versus Bangalore, which is taking place incidentally in Delhi itself. Yes, in-form Delhi will certainly look to go out on a high when they face last place Bangalore at the Ferozeshah Kotla in match number 56 of the IPL. And of course, Bangalore will be playing for pride. Well, the fact is, it is the final league game for both the teams, and also all the teams actually, before we head into the last lap of the tournament. It will certainly be an intense affair, as fans would hope for fireworks from both sides. Delhi have peaked late this season, as Zahir Khan's side will be hoping for their youth brigade to step up once again and deliver the goods. Bangalore, meanwhile, will want a Virat Kohli special, apart from a Gale storm, a final Gale storm, a much-needed Gale storm in the national capital, and give fans something to churn upon. Shishir Gari, our expert, is still live with us in our studio, and it's very warm, Shishir, in Delhi, as you're probably experiencing. Can we see some thunder in the form of Chris Gayle today?
It'll have to be, because if my reading is correct, this could be the farewell game for two great players in the IPL, Watson and Chris Gayle. Unless they're lucky and somebody's prepared to punt on what they've achieved in the past 9 years to say we'll pick them. So this is a crucial game for Gayle if he wants to create that brand awareness of his ability for next year's auction. This year he has disappointed, and he'll be the first to put his hand up and say that. So with Shane Watson.
Yeah.
So we don't know what their futures are in the IPL, because that's all about the hammer and people being picked at the auction. But they haven't done too much. So this could be a day where sometimes the last memory is the best memory. So you never know.
You never know. And the news coming in at that point, it's a perfect time to review the news coming in from Delhi, which is that RCB have won the toss and they will be batting first. And yes, Chris Gayle, Shane Watson are playing in the game. They're also joined by Travis Head, who's another international star who will be playing in the tournament. But that's the news coming in. Your first reaction? RCB winning the toss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the platform for Chris Gayle, there can't be a bigger platform now. In the capital of India, in probably his last IPL game. And interestingly, these are the two teams that both the teams haven't touched the IPL in 10 years. So they will have a lot to play for themselves, for their pride.
And nothing to lose.
And certainly the owners.
Exactly.
Let's be very clear. It's been 10 years of investment. And they haven't even touched the IPL. So it's only money gone, money gone, money gone. And, they haven't really got the trophy. So this is an opportunity for both teams to remind their owners that we tried our best, but this is a game of cricket,
and
anything can happen.
He has achieved the 10,000 run mark in this IPL, so would love to end it on a high as well in the match.
Well, if he finds his feet, then the ball could be in Daryaganj for
Exactly. But speaking very quickly about Virat Kohli as well. Now, he surely will also want psychologically a good score for himself personally. Heading into the Champions Trophy after this, there's no pressure on him whatsoever. They're batting first, as I said again. So can we expect a VK special as well?
Well, we'll expect it and we'll want it for two reasons. One is we want him to do well for India.
Exactly.
And two is he's had a reasonably quiet IPL. I mean, the team has had a quiet IPL. I mean, you can't deny that. So important for Virat also to get, and if he gets a big number, then he goes to England with something big behind him, and that is always good. The opposition is always thinking. When they sit with that video analyst before the team meeting, they say, this guy's got 100. He's back in nick. He's dangerous. So for Indian cricket, it's important for Virat to get a big score today.
Indeed. And Zahir Khan now, a quick word for him. Delhi has decided, I'm learning, that they're going to go with an unchanged side, so no changes for Team Delhi. They peaked late, unfortunately.
Yes.
Fell short, of course, of the points needed to qualify. But a quick thought for Zahir Khan, it could be his swan song as well.
He surprised me as a leader. I thought he'll be pretty reticent as a leader, but he's been communicative, he's been confident, he's been ahead of the game. And something that Zahir Khan we didn't know about. This is a quality that came out in the twilight of his career, and we don't know whether he'll play. I'm sure he'll be involved as a mentor, but I don't think he'll play next year. I'm not sure whether he'll play.
Yeah.
But the old wily fast bowler is still knocking back the stumps of Ajinkya Rahane.
Yeah.
He's creating those early inroads into that team, but the fact is, he's also been one of the greatest servants if he decides to go.
Because he's got a lot of other things to talk about as well. He's recently engaged, so you never know if IPL is top priority, at least in the year ahead for him. So I'm sure today there will be a lot to concentrate on the field. But quick thought about the youngsters in Delhi, Shishir, because that's been the great point about the Delhi side. They may have always been very inconsistent through these years of the IPL, but this year, if we talk about their side, there have been youngsters who really managed to click. Getting helmed under the leadership of Rahul Dravid in the team management. You've got Zahir Khan, of course, captaining you, giving you tips, etc. Pant and Iyer just being two of the
Pant, Iyer, Samson.
Yeah, Samson.
These are players. They've been empowered. Generally you don't find so many domestic players playing in the top of the order. You probably throw in an international player, but they've been empowered. They've performed, but they've not been consistent, and that has let them down. But the fact is that if you look back at this IPL and shut your eyes and say Delhi Daredevils, a lot of Indian faces come to the fore. And that is so important because, after all, this is the Indian Premier League and you want Indian youngsters to perform for the sake of keeping the spirit of the IPL alive. And we've seen that. I would have been happier with a little more consistency from these players because, Samson got a brilliant 100, Karun Nayar's been good, so have some of the other players. But the thing is, you've got to do it regularly, and you know that your bowling is a little short, so you've got to contribute with the bat and ensure that you get those extra 20 runs to be able to win games, which sadly they haven't done.
Indeed. Okay, quickly wrapping up now. The fact is, as we said, these have been two disappointing sides. As you said, RCB for just not being able to click on any parameter, be it bowling, fielding or batting departments. Delhi for not being consistent enough. But which have been your big disappointments of this year, be it players or be it teams, if we look back at the season?
I really expected these two teams to do much better, and they've disappointed themselves because they have the talent, they have the ability. They haven't been able to finish games, and that is something that ought to happen in T20. I say ought to happen, but if it happens consistently, then obviously, you're not getting things right. And these two teams have disappointed me because they've got enormous talent in that team. Those teams, both teams, and of course the failures of players like Gale, of course Shane Watson, and the great A.B. de Villiers. I mean, he's performed at times.
What a side on paper.
Fantastic. I mean, they could win any game of cricket in paper, but sadly, cricket is not played on paper. There is a ground to be gone to, and you've got to play.
It's not book cricket at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And it's disappointing. And I feel bad for players like Rahul Dravid. I feel bad for backroom, the trainers and the coaches, because they do everything to ensure that the players get on the ground. But there are no guarantees in cricket like any other sport. And sometimes you feel that there's no template for victory. You just got to do the things right and ensure that your team is out there But momentum, as they say, you know, it might sound cliched.
Yeah.
It's so important in 47 days.
Absolutely, and that's of course what differentiates the points leader and of course those at the bottom of the table. So which side will leave their fans and their owners with at least a small smile on their face going out of the IPL? That question will be answered in about 3 hours from now. For now though, it's time for a quick break. Trisha, thanks for joining us as always. On that note, a quick break. Stay tuned to NewsX.
That's gone for 6 runs.